She's a filthy mess. I feel bad. It's my baby girl. I let her get that bad. That ain't no good. So we're gonna get her back around. See, the hot rodder in me hates the idea that I just want to pull the motor and clean everything again. That was the pride and joy, was the motor and the interior, you know. That motor's dilapidated. The interior isn't bad, but I can fix that up. Bottom of that door's rusted a little bit. Wonder what the passenger one looks like. Those doors are rotted. That's why in the previous video, when you seen the before pictures of it, I patched them because there was holes as big as your fist in the bottoms of the doors. And I patched them because I was going to be driving it possibly in a snowstorm to get down here to Florida from Indiana. And I didn't need snow getting up in there and wind. It was going to seal it as much as it possibly could by having it like that. So, you know, letting things goes the way of patina. It takes some getting used to, because it's going the way of patina, and it's making me sad because it's gotten worse than where I liked it. But we'll get all the oil and rust staining off of that, and the plan is eventually, not this go around, we're just going to bring you up to speed on her. Now that she's clean, get her in the shop, get you up to speed on where she is now, get myself up to speed where she is now, because I've drove it once or twice a year since I've been down here, from the front of the shop to the back of the shop and so on and so forth. Kind of hosed it off a couple of times, and just left a big pile of oil every time I did it because of that rear main seal going and that seal on the tranny. So I don't want to burn the motor up, and I don't want to burn the tranny up. That's why I don't drive it. And now I can take up the lift here for a couple of weeks because I'm pretty much done with the Nomad. Anything to do on the lift. So today's the day. We're going to bring her in. Got to air up the air. It's one of the other things. The compressor stopped working, and I just don't know if it got unplugged from this switch. When I put the new harness in, the female ends for the spade connectors, I put all new, everything. But they didn't grab as, I don't know where to get really good quality ones. The ones that grab good, they rust really fast or turn green really fast. The gold colored ones don't turn color, but they're kind of not as hardcore, not as heavy duty. And that's kind of what I had on these. I had a combination of both, and it seems like I have a couple of wires that fell out from behind the dash, and it very well could be one of those is the compressor wire. But right now I am going to run my air line out and air up the air tank with my indoor compressor. And then I will be able to air it up and get it in here, and hopefully, I don't know how fast it'll air out, because like I told you in the previous video, there's an air leak somewhere in the air ride system, because it stays aired up for maybe a half an hour and it's completely aired out. So now you're up to speed. Let me just get to work. All right, guys. Well, we got lowlifes in the shop. I was going to do a little filming outside, and both batteries and the cameras went dead. I've been having issues with my very first camera I ever bought. It's an old GoPro from, well, when I went on the power tour. Yeah, that's right. There it is. See what the sun did to it? But yeah, that's the downfall of what the sun did. But let me go ahead and I'll take you down the side, inside, and we'll see 10 years later, 4 years of baking in the sun, what she looks like. All right. I'll tell you what though, doesn't do justice. I don't know if I can angle this. This is all like alligator skin. And it looks super cool. Just too dry for my taste. So we're gonna have to get it coated now, but I might coat it on this. We'll see if we can kind of blend that together a little more. This is just areas that have faded more so than the other. If you look real close, that blue had a metallic in it. Red underneath. Had some Bondo at one time, must have been a dent there. Got a little bit of rust up here that wasn't there before. It's typical on these hoods though. Those hoods always rust right there at the seam. I ain't so worried about that. That adds to the patina. And that alligator skin is pretty cool in my opinion. And the roof in the previous video wasn't it was a real quick one looking down. A little bit of this red was showing up, but now look at the roof on this thing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow out. Somebody did the right thing. They caulked in here, and there's surface rust. There's no holes. It's not rotted through or anything. It's just really heavy surface rust. I'm going to grind this caulking out all the way around and re-caulk it and reseal it. You can see there where they caulked and had painted it. No real rust there, but there's a little spacing there. I'll probably have to seal that back up. This, I mean, it's just crumbly, rock hard skim coats of Bondo from years ago, and you know, it's peeling. And I had bought these brand new, so they're 10 years old. Look at them. I'd put these in, and yes, if you're asking, that's a weird looking antenna. I planned on, and we road tripped, and I can hook a CB up in this. I got a little mount for the floor. I want to build eventually, one of the plans eventually is to build a center console, because with the fuel injection I bought as an extra, I bought a 7-inch screen, and this shows all my gauges and all of my everything the motor's doing, except for speed. It's the only thing it doesn't do. But my speedometer works. It's brand new. And I want to mount this in a center console, and then have the CB underneath it and have it permanently mounted. Don't really need the CB, but at the time I was trucking, and whenever I go on any trips, I tell you what, people don't realize the truckers have all the information of any traffic jams coming up and anything of that nature. So it's kind of nice to have on, and you just get to hear, hey, there's a traffic jam, get off at this exit, you can drive around it. It saves a lot of time on your trip from sitting in traffic. What else can we show you here? Oh, so in the pictures, I was real proud of my nice grill that I clear coated and everything, and there's not even any peel marks. So the clear never peeled off, but it rusted underneath the dang clear coat. That's a brand new bumper. I sanded and just stressed it like that and just left it. Never clear coated that, and you can tell that actually rusted harder than that did. And this is, to me, this is sad. So this is what's happened with the motor. I clear coated, these are all brand new brackets from Bill's Hot Rod. I clear coated, I've given the brush look and clear coated all of those. Rusted under the clear coat. Same here. And my paint job on there is really, power washing it a couple of times now. Everything's gotten crustied over. Noticed that this alternator wasn't charging, so I'm gonna have to have that tested and then see if hopefully no critters ate through a wire and that the alternator's still good. And this, I've always wanted to clean this up. Never really thought of a good way to do it to make it look good, but I got some ideas on that. Yeah, she's looking a little tired. And that was my pride and joy, because that engine, brand new crate engine, I wanted this thing to be patinaed. It's my style. But pop that hood and have that hood looking like a nice little gem in there, you know. It doesn't have to look like some show piece, but the plan was that, you know, you pop that hood, and that's what it was originally. You pop that hood and people were impressed. All fresh, all dialed in and whatnot. So we'll get back to that. But we're going to be pulling the tranny out, and that part is about to do those seals. Maybe I pull the motor. Let me know down below, guys. What would you do? I know what I want to do, you know, but is it overkill? Maybe I sandblast them, brush them again, and try to powder coat them clear. Maybe that powder coat clear will hold up better than the bare metal clear coat I used. I don't know. Give me some suggestions down below, because I'm kind of on the fence. It makes me sick to my stomach, to be honest with you, looking at this engine compartment. All the time and effort I put in to making this unique and cool, I still want that. I want it back. But that means I'm probably not going to get it out for a month or so, because if I pull that motor, none of this happens overnight. Just like you guys, you know, on your spare time, this is getting done. And I do need to run new plug wires. I got one plug wire. I know, it just reminded me now that we're talking about things that I need to do. It just dawned on me. I got a plug wire on this side. I think it's number 3. The last time, not this last time, but several months ago, when I moved it from one side of the building to the other, it was dark out, and I popped the hood. I had the hood popped because I put the battery in it, and started it up, and it was dark out, and when I went to close the hood, I noticed arcing coming off one of the plug wires, and it was jumping all over the place. So either something bit into it, or they got old and brittle from sitting because of the heat cycling down here in 4 years. I don't know what it is, but that's probably not a good thing. So it wouldn't be that big of a deal, I don't think, to pull this motor and go through and just re-detail it, get it back to the way it was, the way I like it. Yeah. Let me know down below. Do I spend the time and do it? If so, Are you guys interested in seeing actual video and documenting doing that? Me explaining what I do and how and why, and doing, you know, not spending hours on it obviously, but maybe doing a video, one video where we just go through and clean up the motor and repaint everything, and if there's any leaks or anything besides that rear main seal, maybe we reseal it. Because I mean, all we have to do is put the AC unit off to the side. We don't have to disconnect the air conditioning, and I can clean up an alternator if I have to do a new alternator, if that one's still good. And I mean, I can clean up some wiring. Obviously, with running fuel injection and all this stuff, that has just been added and added to wiring, growing. I'd like to run the coil in a different place. This was kind of a it works, don't touch it type deal. I could run all of this wiring as for the air conditioning, for the fuel injection computer, and for the air ride. I could tidy that all up into one thing and run it nicer and smoother and clean that up. All of that would be much, much simpler with the motor out. So, and then I could really dial in this firewall and wheel wells and stuff. This will never be a perfect vehicle. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be perfectly reliable, though. That was always my intention. I could, up until coming to Florida. You know, it has an overheating problem due to timing issue, I believe. But only when it's real hot out. I mean, if it's 85, 80, 90 degrees out and I don't run the air conditioning, I got the windows down, it never overheats. And I could get in this and drive it to California and back, and it wouldn't be an issue. But as I mentioned in a previous video, I've learned a lot about timing tables. There's more timing tables out through Holly. There's one that's really close to this. I'm going to definitely upgrade my computer. That's going to be a video in the future. We're going to be upgrading the software in this with new timing table, and then fine-tuning and tweaking it with what I've learned. I'll be sharing that with you guys. And yeah, so just ideas. This is an intro video on the plans, what we're working on and what the plans are for it. So let's go back to showing you a little more about the vehicle. I switched over to these LEDs. Wasn't my favorite idea, mind you, but the factory ones were good. They looked super cool. But there were several times that I had the blinker on, and I know the blinkers worked because I even checked after the fact. I had the blinkers on waiting to turn left across traffic, and I've had people throw their hands up in the air like I cut them off because they thought I was going straight. I wasn't cutting people off, plenty of room, but I realized nobody else could see the blinkers. One, they're in a weird spot. People ain't used to seeing them because they're up on the hood, you know, not down where people are used to seeing them down here. And if they weren't very bright, they didn't get your attention, and they weren't very bright, the incandescents. These puppies, when they're on, you can see them from the moon. When they blink, they are bright. You're not missing it. So for safety reasons, I put the LEDs in. When I bought this must have been patched down here as a fender, and I had smoothed this all out and had planned on, you know, flat black in the vehicle, so that was just going to be smoothed out and then flat blacked over. But look at all the Bondo that somebody had put over the weld there. It's all swelling. So I might hit that with a sander, hit that with a DA and try to smooth that out and see if we can kind of blend that back in. Rust from dripping off the mirror. So I completely rebuilt these, but LMC's rubber. This started happening a year after I put the brand new rubbers in. LMC, nothing against them. I'm glad they carry truck parts that nobody else has, but their rubber products for weather stripping and stuff is garbage. It really is. It works in a pinch if you can't get it anywhere else, but steel rubber products is probably the one, or Precision would be probably the ones I will try next. And but they are spendy. Oof, you get what you pay for, though. Doing it twice, not fun. From the heat down here, I noticed this the other day. The paint shrunk and blistered across the back seat. It's fine being a patina truck, but everything else is still good, you know. Let me see if I can. Here. Seat's holding up good. Got a lot of dead bugs and stuff that were in here and from sitting. Carpet's still good. All that's still good. You can see over there on the floor a little bit of crud coming out from behind the dash. So we got to make sure there's nothing living up in there, and everything else is held up pretty good. So good on the inside. Cab corners, that's new. A little blistering. Not caring about that. I can do cab corners if we have to in the future, but we'll run that for a while. A lot of surface rust on these, but they're good. Well, the weather strips, I put these all in. It's holding up. Good stuff. That wasn't LMC, that was somebody else. Floors are holding up. Got a little staining over there. I might, when I have a chance to really wash this, I might acid wash this whole bed. The only thing I'm worried about is the acid dripping down underneath and messing up something on the frame. So I want to have it aired up like a skyjacker. And I can acid wash, rinse, and then get underneath it and rinse the hole underneath to make sure I don't have any acid sitting anywhere. Another problem, now that we're walking around the back, I put the stainless taillights in. They're also LED. Work awesome, look awesome. When I wired those up, for some reason, because LEDs, you got to wire them backwards. What's normally ground is power, and what's power is ground. So I switched those, got them working. They worked great. No blinker, because, you know, I'm trying LED flashers and all that. Again, this was, you know, 9 years ago, 9.5 years ago. Longer than that. It was 10 years ago. I finished this in 2014 and took it on the 2015 Power Tour. So right after the 2015 Power Tour, so going on 10 years ago, I changed those. And the LED flashes they sell, they say, oh, you need LED flash. Don't work worth a crap. They didn't change anything. Still no blink. So talked to some people. Got to switch the wires on the flasher, put the regular flasher in. I got blinkers. Guess what else I got? I got that when the key's in the off position and there's a battery in here, they're on at like 10%. There's like a little glow to them. And because of that, the cruise control don't work, because the cruise control thinks the brakes are on. So it won't let you set the cruise control, and it drains the battery dead if you leave a battery in it. Isn't that sweet? No, it's not really. I don't remember the brand. Might have been even Rust-Oleum brand. Roll-in liner 10 years ago. Tops of the rails I did, and in here I did, because this was all just beat up and crappy looking. I wanted the bed to look decent. Look what the sun did. It's just gone. There's little speckles left and it's gone. It's crazy. Not as bad on this side, so you can tell which side was leaning more towards the noonday sun. And then gas tanks in there. I'm gonna have to double check. I want to look in there and make sure there's no crud having built up over time running. You know, I didn't run ethanol free, nothing like that. So we'll I'm gonna go ahead and throw her on the lift. Here's the fun part about lowered vehicles. It's aired out. That's hitting the exhaust pipe that I got there. And the front one's hitting the frame, not under the frame, hitting the frame. So it's gonna take me a minute to air her up. I got my hose reel here for air. My tank, I put this spigot in so that I could air up with a regular tank in case my compressor ever went out. Smart. And I'll air that up and put 100 pounds in there, get the system aired up, get the lift situated where it needs to be on the frame, and up we go. And then we'll get a look underneath. It's not pretty underneath, guys. It's not pretty underneath. It was never pretty underneath. I pour 15'd it and cleaned it and did a bunch of stuff to it, and it really just gets beat up real quick. But I got some really cruddy patch holes in the floor. There was, you know, one where your heel goes on the gas, like they always do. Not enough to replace the whole floor in this, so I just did some patchwork, and it was the first time I'd ever done any little patches. So don't laugh at my welds. They're horribly cold. I know that much. But they worked. The holes got patched, and it made the cab, you know, airtight pretty much. Well, as airtight as one of these can get. So, all right, let me. I'm gonna set you down for a minute, and I gotta grab a battery, and I gotta get air in the tank, and I gotta pop the airbags up, and we'll go from there. Be back in a minute.
A few moments later.
Running a bunch of air in there. I'm gonna try something instead of grabbing the battery out of Nomad. We're gonna try something quick. Let's see if this little jump pack will give me enough juice. It's gonna give me enough juice to air up to run the switches. Oh, I can't believe this little truck is wider than the Nomad. Okay, so, oh, back's going up. Oh, I heard the jump box kick off. So I don't think we got enough. We got enough in the back. I don't think. Excuse my face being right up next to there, but fat kid trying to get out of this. It's real life problems, man, I'm telling you. Yeah, backs up. That was starting to. Let's put some more air in it. There wasn't enough air to kick it. Yeah, the back's always lighter, so it goes up faster. Goes up easier. You're not trying to lift an engine. Let's see if that was enough. Oh, walk back and forth. Gotta kick the jump box on or it ain't gonna do nothing. That thing has like a 45 second shut off timer on it. There we go. We'll go all out. Boom, 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 boom. Oh. You hear that? That's that airbag articulating. All right, let me try to get these here, the lifting. Hey, right now, I don't know if I'm a fan. I can't remember if I've ever had this on the lift. I think I have one other time on the 2-post. Usually I did it on the 4-post, everything. I built this whole thing without any lift whatsoever. But then when I got the 4-post, any maintenance I did on the 4-post. But these trucks, you gotta, right behind the cab, the frame goes up. And you'd be picking it up all by the cab, not far enough back, so I've got the back arms on the truck arms that go down to the axle, which is no big deal. That's like putting it on its wheels. But in the front here, I'm a little back further than I like, but we'll see how it seems stability-wise. Yeah, I think I've got extenders for the front. Maybe I can pick that up a little better with those. It's gonna air out in the back as it sits here, which should lower the back. Sitting like this should lower the back a little as it airs out. You can see there's a big air gap here, and I've got it on the truck arm. It ain't going nowhere, but as that airbag airs out, that arm will go up, and that should, well, the arm won't go up, the body will come down, and it should come down to about right in here, which would make this pretty level. So it just seems so freaking corked right now. Back there it's solid. Where it's sitting there is solid. Ain't going nowhere. Can't, it's not like it can slide forward or anything. No such thing. So, alright, let me get her up and we'll take a look underneath. My wheels ain't shiny no more, so we'll wax these. I think some wax will clean that up. But my poor caps got a bunch of surface. Or that was might clean up with some steel wool. As long as they ain't rotted through. We'll see how those clean up. I got that ring where the water just would sit close, but I think with the steel wool. And they have them worse than the others? No, not really. Oh, balls. Rusty, rusty, rusty. That's the air manifold for the management on the air ride. So it makes it go up and down. You got 4 to go up and 4 to let air out. Poor 15. Oh, got a little bit of on the shock there. That wasn't like that before. How's this one? This one's fine. I've always wanted to do different trailing arms. I see the rust wise, it isn't that bad. Even the lips and stuff are good. There's a compressor. Surface rust. I'm gonna run a jump wire to that, see if the compressor still runs. So you can see I ran it out into the frame and then ran everything down the frame. I just wanted to look at these up close. We'll go up higher. But even rockers and stuff are good, you know. Haven't gone to hell. Surface rust. That's where I welded in those, and the previous one where I welded in the replacement rusted right around my welds. I don't know if it's worth buying a radiator support and pulling this whole front end apart. It might be. It might be. Yeah. Steering box. I'll have to check all the boots and stuff. Look at all that nicely painted, and now it's just from sitting. It's crazy. This isn't holding up too bad, but it's funny how it just gets. This was always a little bad here, so I had spot welded it because there was no mount. The mount rusted here that holds it in, and then there's whatever. So I pushed it in and spot welded it. But see what I mean about these doors are just bad, but they match, so it is what it is. I've got those new rust-free ones. If I ever decide I want to paint it or do something different, I don't know if I could ever blend or match this paint. Funny, the paint job I hated the most out of all of the ones I was looking at before I bought this. Hated this paint job. Hated it. Hated it. Why? Because here's the body line. Here's a body line. Here's body line. What? Why? Here's body line. Why'd you go below it? It just didn't make any sense. And I mean, that's a body line. Why'd you run a hard line below it? It was just goofy to me. I like the blue and white. That was just goofy to me. It doesn't make any sense. It kind of drove me nuts. But then as I started sanding on this thing and doing all that kind of stuff, I'm looking to see. I fell in love with how this looked with patina. Oh yeah, I want to need to do cab corners eventually, but rockers here look good. So far from here, a little bust out there, and a little bust out there. I don't know if somebody put this in or if that's factory, but it's busting out. Again, patina vehicle, none of that's structural, none of that's horrible. If I ever replace these fenders, they make fiberglass ones that are 3 inches wider. Why would you go 3 inches wider? Well, here, look. I don't know if I'm pointing in the right spot. Because the cab sticks out 3 inches wider than this. So if you get 3 inch wider, then this will be level with the cab all the way down, and then you can put some fat meats underneath there too, and it looks pretty cool. I don't know if they even make those anymore. I know they had them at one point. So let's go up a little further. I'm so sorry, little girl, that I let you sit for 4 years. You should have been priority 1, get you done, and then Ma's mad. Yeah, I'll have to readjust how that's sitting, but all right. So airbags. I don't hear any air rushing out. Rubbers, still decent. Still decent. Need oil, need grease. Oh, rubbers on those are still decent. Hotchkiss. Had to mount those in. Supposed to go into factory holes, no factory holes, had to drill them. A lot of different stuff about this truck that wasn't supposed to be. Yeah, that needs a, there isn't any grease certs on those. Greaseless, eh? Also, I got grease in the ball joints. This is how the factory does the seats. They do this block threaded. So I made my own blocks threaded. Hole for the seat disperses that weight. Did a couple because we didn't like how it was. Patch on the floor. I did V-band clamps to get for the exhaust. Airlines run down there. First joyride, zip ties came undone, hit the muffler, burned a hole, aired out the truck, scraping on the ground. So that's the repair, and found a different way to zip them out of the way. Seemed to have worked. Got them covered up in there. There's the Hotchkiss. Hotchkiss. Fuel line, quick release. Cut these in. Looks like the exhaust moved some. These are Thrush copies of Flowmasters. And cut those in. That way I could get the exhaust up, but there was no room with lowering it. You can see here, there's no room to go up and over, so I came out the sides under the steps. No room with the tank back there. Worked out pretty good. Airbags aren't, no, I mean, they're not all dry rotted. That's good. Brake line still pliable. Tank, oh, pretty good. I do need to do a adjustable one of these. I'm not a fan. When it lowers out the rear, when it's real low, the rear is way over too far, so I'm gonna have to do a shorter one. Works at ride height, but it's a little off when you air out. And then that's the dryer from the compressor, goes through a dryer into the tank. Use the same mounting for the bleacher steps. The bleacher steps mount with these sliding pieces that slide in these rails. So you can put them wherever you wanted and then just drill a hole in the cross member that the boards used to mount to. So mounted there. That cross member. And then in this rail here. And then that cross member there. So that's the nose one. So in the nose are mounted just back. And then there and there, dead center, there's no mount. Did over there, put the little chaser mount just to hold down the sides so they wouldn't bow. Kind of cold welds what they're holding. Bolt goes all the way through, so I mean there's just articulation for up and down. I'll probably re-weld those. My welding's gotten better, but I am no expert welder per se. Ran the new wiring harness out the floor there for anything that's in the back. Yeah, the rockers are, I might wire wheel all that and just put some anti-rust on there. Got a little rust hole there and there for the floor support. That's where that Bondo's coming through on the other side where they lapped it in the lower dog leg. Somebody did this before me on both sides. Not too horrible. So to get out the tranny, I'm going to take the drive shaft obviously out, cross member out, and I'll probably, because that's why I did it, take the V-bands apart and get the exhaust. This, why is that oil filter so stinking wet? Looks like that's been spraying. I'll have to get on that and see what's going on with that. So yeah, that's what we're dealing with. These are the air lines going to the gauges. Going to the switches. They go up under the seat, under the carpet. These wires run all the way to the driver's side and then down the threshold. But these go right underneath and then up under the dash in the middle of the car. I was figuring all this stuff out. I had never taken a car down this far. I got a little bit of more rod there. I got 2 of these replacements. What do you guys think? Tell me what you think. And if you're a patina hater, I don't need to hear a bunch of hate. Let's just be honest. It's a patina vehicle. Body mounts are all new. I did that. And there. So all new rubbers. Did all new rubbers in here. You've seen that. How are they holding up? Pretty good. They're all smashed and messed up. Not all dry rotted or nothing. They're all good. So where it counted, I did new stuff, you know, bushings, every brake line, every gas line, every wire in this vehicle was brand new 10 years ago, well, 11 years ago, because I finished it in 2014, so 11 years ago. But the frame, you know, it's in really good shape. This trailing arm, like I said, has a little rust above, like through the shock mount and above it. I'd like to look into what it would take to, I know they're not cheap, new trailing arms, like tubular ones. They've got them boxed real nice. I wouldn't mind switching to those one day. It's all money. It takes time, guys. You know, I got a lot of toys that I've collected over 20 years. It's not like I just went out and bought all this stuff in 1 week or 1 month or in 1 year because I'm rich. I'm not rich. I bought everything. Some of this stuff I bought with a loan and paid the loan off already because I hold on to my stuff. My tools, when I was trucking and making decent money, those were write-offs because I used them to fix and repair my truck, and the bonus was I could use it for this, and they're mine. They're paid off. Done deal. 20 years of collecting. So, that being said, I don't have expendable cash. The economy the way it is killed me like it did a lot of people. I might have to start selling some of these projects. That 49 is planning to be sold. When that is sold, some money is allocated for this. It's going to be small. The majority of the money is going to be allocated to getting that back on the road, and the maintenance things that I need to do with exhaust and all of that we're talking about with Nomad. Upgrading some of the air ride stuff on here. Might need a new one of them. Might need a new one of these. I mean, these are 150, 60 bucks. If I have to buy a new one of these, I'm buying the Aki Air one, and they're $600. If I need new bags, it's going to be another 300. Call it 400 for all four if I decide to do that. We'll see what we run into. Getting the tranny out and all that kind of stuff. I need to move this mount up higher. Because at ride height that I want, this is right about here. So you only get like this much travel. Whereas if I raised it up that much, right? At ride height, I'd be in the shock where it's supposed to be. I'd be in the middle of the shock. So raise it up. These are cheapos. If I'm taking them off, I'm putting better ones back on. And I'm probably going to raise the ride height on those with some extenders or relocators. But this really doesn't need much, you know. I don't. Might need an alternator. So I just love how big that thing is. It's just girthy. It's like 1 1/8 inches or something like that. And I don't know if I'm going to need new tires or not. 11 years old. They seem to be all right. They're not dry rotting, but all of this was bleaching off and running down the tires. You can see here where some of it I didn't get because it was cleaned up all right. Tires are important, guys. Don't ride around on old tires just because there's tread on them. When they dry rot or get crusty and nasty, it could mean your life if a steer tire goes and you're heading down the interstate. Oh, and then I have a brand new bumper and bumper brackets for the back bumper, for the back bumper, and I'd like to put that on. I've had it since I had the truck. I bought it all, but the problem is the bumper brackets go bolt here. Well, that's in the way. So, and the airline's in the way. So if I'm going to do it, and then on this side, that's in the way. So if I take that out, maybe I can put the bumper brackets in, get one bolt to bolt in, and then weld the rest of it. So it's the bracket's permanent, and then the bumper can just come on and off. That's what I'm kind of thinking. So yeah, there you go, guys. Low life. I'm gonna get the air hose. I'm gonna blow a bunch of this stuff out because I don't want any creepy crawlies. I'd blow my hair, but there isn't any. You gotta be careful in Florida. Let me give you a little Florida 101 that I've been here 4 years and I'm just still gotta remind myself, so I'll remind myself by telling you guys. There's creepy crawlies down here. They get into everything. And there's a lot of these slimy little toads of every color and denomination. I have no idea if one of them's poisonous or none of them are poisonous or all of them are poisonous. I have no idea. I have no idea. All I know is you'll go get into a car that you have let sit for a week and they'll jump on you when you open the door because they climb in as far as your weather stripping and then they sit there. And they're stupid because once they're in there, they don't leave. And if you leave a vehicle long enough, I've had a vehicle that I left for a couple of months and went back to drive it, and there was 2 of them dead, withered, dried up. It's like, well, if you're hungry, leave the damn car and go get something to eat. For crying out loud, what is wrong with you? Just sitting there and dry out to death. But I've also gone to I've taken this one to the car wash, and I was hosing stuff out underneath, and all of a sudden, frickin' frogs came out. And a lizard, you know, they got these, I don't know what these weird ones are I got around here. They got red heads and a red tip on their tail, and they're black. And the females are gray with a green head and a green tail. And they're faster than hell. And if you scare them, they'll run right at you. I don't know if they're dangerous or not, but they scare the living crap out of you when they come flying out of stuff. Like I'm blowing now, and maybe not see one, and he's sitting there hiding. Next thing I know, it's gonna be on my shirt. So don't laugh too hard. Probably something living up in there too. The other thing I did too is this starter is super close to this exhaust manifold, so I heat blanketed it with a heat blanket so as not to prematurely kill it. Mess cleaner. Ever seen that many leaves just get blown out of a frame and out of the suspension parts of a truck? That wasn't, okay, it was abandoned. I was gonna say it wasn't an abandoned barn find, field find, because it's not. I still love it. I just abandoned it outside for 4 years. And that's what I get. We'll bring her back. Alright guys. You're up to speed on what's gonna happen with low life. What the plans are. So next video is going to be pulling that tranny. This was just an introduction, a walk around, show you the state of, the sorry state of affairs that I left her in, and what the plan is to bring her back around nice. So I really want this to be my daily again. I really miss driving this. It's, like I said, it's really my style. I like the truck. I like the patina. I like it lowered. It's got air conditioning. It's got cruise control, and it's got a good stereo in it. I got a Kenwood in there with a Rockford Fosgate sub under the seat. One of those under the seat self-powered subs. So thanks for coming along. And if you can, like, subscribe, do all that. Comment. Share the video if you can. Comment what you think. Be nice. Be nice. No haters. But if you got some constructive criticism, I'd love to hear it. Never said she was perfect. She was perfect in my eyes, though, before I parked it, other than that vibration and a little bit of overheating issue, which is probably timing. I'm almost positive now it's probably timing related. And I'm going to start playing with the timing tables and messing with that and getting this thing really dialed in, because if I can drive it down here when it's 98 degrees with a 120 heat index and I can have the air on and she don't overheat, she's the perfect daily rig, and she will get tons of miles put on her after that. So that will be the driver. All right, guys, we're up to snuff on my life and what the plans are. And you know, the old joke, you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. I hope we align. So, all right, guys, again, it doesn't have to be perfect to enjoy it. Enjoy it while it's good enough. Make it reliable, drive it. Fix a little bit here and there, drive it. Get it in the sun and let other people enjoy it as well. And one day, after you worked hard and you've enjoyed it and you've done a little and you've done a little more and you've done a little more, enjoying the ride the whole way, one day you'll turn around and you won't believe it. That sucker will be perfect. It'll be your kind of perfect. All right, guys, get back out in the garage and do something. Keep wrenching.